Hi, I had a really great time taking a look through each of the templates, and I thought I would try to make a video instead of submitting a written response. I often make videos in my classes to connect with students, so I think that this video hopefully will show how some of my teaching philosophy aligns with what's happening in the course templates. And so I took some notes on each of the course templates, and I have to say that I know that they're all, still in development, and that part of the destinations class, will help to further develop the classes. The one that seemed the most developed to me was the Hum 1020 class. And this was also the one that I felt was the most engaging and the closest to my own learning preferences. And I'll tell you why that is. But the interesting thing I noticed upon reflection was that even though this course, while being very different, giving you your choose your own adventure situation and so forth, I noticed that the other templates were kind of more of a standard way to go through a course. And they are, in fact, ways that I've set up my courses in the past. And so it was great to see a different model. And I'd like to put that model into redesigning my courses in the future. So I'll tell you what I found engaging about the Hum 1020 class as opposed to the other templates. I really love the choose your own adventure idea. I think that connects well with my philosophy of engaging students and letting them explore their own voices and perspectives, and giving them choices gives them more flexibility to engage in a way that their learning style is most spoken to, and a way to express and choose those things they are most interested in. And so I really wanted to take this course myself. I was very excited. What I thought about in reviewing it, though, was that I wondered about the tendency to always select the same type of adventure for myself. Would I push myself out of my comfort zone and choose an adventure I might be unlikely to choose? Or would I always go back to, say, the discussion where I'm used to analyzing things in that way? And so that was my reflection there, really just, pushing students out of their comfort zone and whether or not they'd make that choice to do new things every week. And then I also thought about the discussions themselves. So I find the most engaging part of the class is the discussion forum. I feel like that's where we connect with our peers. That's where the instruction takes place. And so I like to have discussions every week. And so I wondered how effectively it would work to not have all the students engaging in a discussion each week. And so those were kind of some of my questions for reflection in that area. So the other templates felt very familiar to me because they included those usual kind of the format of assignment, quiz, discussion. And so I think actually the Hum 1020 felt a little more challenging, but that also was more exciting. The other thing about the Hum 1020 that I noticed was the way that the assignments were worded, and they were worded in a captivating way that made me want to engage with them. So instead of just saying discussion or assignment, they had a captivating title, and that made me want to click on it and see what it was and sort of investigate that area. So that's definitely something that I want to use going forward in my classes. This sort of, I felt like, marketing approach really connected with me, and I think helps to engage the students more in connecting with those things that they'd like to select. And so, some other things that I noticed is that they were all structured similarly week to week. I find that to be very helpful when I go into a class and I see the same structure for each module. That makes it easy to understand both professionally on the teaching side of things, and I think it makes it easy to understand on the students' point of view because they're experiencing the same things. There's no surprises, it's transparent. And so I like that it's structured in that way with the same things happening in each module. And then I also like the extra sort of projects, particularly the one that comes in, let's see, it was, I think, template the UNESCO project. I always feel very engaged with projects also because they make me feel like I am adding to the body of knowledge in the field, like I'm an active participant. So this really spoke to me in my teaching values. And I liked that the way this project, the UNESCO project, took place in several different spots throughout the class so that you could keep adding pieces to it in this kind of scaffolded way. I identified with that quite heavily. I liked that they were different steps and it felt like more active rather than passive learning. I connect really with that more active sense of engagement than just kind of the memorization and knowledge checks that quizzes offer. I don't feel like quizzes and exams offer quite as much. You can engage. I realize they're important, but in my teaching preference, I would probably not include any quizzes, but I know they're important for certain learning styles. So another thing that I like that came up in the HUM 2230 class was the term roadmap. And so I felt like when I clicked on roadmap, it was going to give me sort of this infographic and I was going to see a map of where we are going. And so I think maybe structuring that piece more like a map in a visual way rather than just listing out what was going to happen in the module or giving an overview might be incredibly helpful to the visual learners. And maybe there could even be clickable links on the map and sort of a car could go through the map as you would, in a regular setting when you're driving down the road and experiencing these things. So that's kind of the way I wanted to connect with that sense of the roadmap. So let's see. The other thing that I really loved was this in HUM 1020, how to engage in these events and cultural experiences. But I did have some questions or some hesitations given the fact that I live out of the area, some of our students may live out of the area, and I definitely wanted to see some alternatives for how students would engage and go to events in their own areas, some suggestions for that, instead of just all listings of things particular to the campus, the campuses in Orlando in that area. So that was another observation that I would love to talk about further about how to maybe restructure that. And let's see, I think those were most of my reflections on the course so far. So my goals or takeaways from this experience, I've already even started finding ways that I would like to modify my own classes and set up different structures that are more creative in ways to connect with the students. My teaching philosophy is really to start kind of with the material and make a personal connection to the material, and then a more global connection, bring that out into, well, how does that work in the real world? And so I felt like each of the courses really had this set up. So that's something that I aligned with. And then I think I mentioned some of my questions and concerns about the templates so far, but if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them when you're giving feedback. I realize I've already gone over the 5-minute limit, so I'll go ahead and wrap that up.